Good morning. It's a beautiful morning again here in Florida. The temperatures have dropped over the past few days since October arrived. I like that. Started in the atrium this morning and was out there almost an hour. And yes, it's only 3:33. Today I'm going to talk to you about corporations. And the title is Ninth Wave, Do You Understand Corporations? Mitt Romney, in a recent event in Iowa, commented to a heckler, "Corporations are people, my friend." Obviously, he has bought into the corporate BS. Corporations are and always have been legal fictions created to shirk personal responsibility. They have become the bane of human culture, in my opinion. This is an important area of focus in the mass protests. We need to become educated and to educate others. A corporation. There's a wonderful video that I've shown here about corporations. I say here at the Mary Horgan Center. I've probably been a year or two or three ago that I showed it, but I have it in my video library of movies to awaken people. And as those of you who listen regularly realize, I have been involved in studying these things for at least the last 10 years, since September 2001, when we got our wake-up call about the complicity of government in so-called terrorist actions. And bear in mind, the governments themselves are privately owned, run-for-profit corporations. And the government uses the corporation to shirk responsibility and to sidestep its responsibility to protect the public, to inform the public, to serve the public. Corporations serve corporations. That's what it has become in our world. And Mitt Romney, as a candidate for president, is just mouthing the same old political crap that we've been hearing from both parties for a long time, because it doesn't matter which party gets into office, whether it's Democrats or Republicans here in the United States, conservatives or liberal in Great Britain, or whatever the parties are in your particular country. The parties are usually just a show. There are games created by the corporations to confuse people and to get people to think that they actually have choices in the matter. The truth of the matter is, both major parties in every election here in the United States, and I'm sure the same thing is pretty much true around the world where there are elections, the same people are controlled by both parties, with rare exceptions. We have Ron Paul in the United States, who has been a long-term congressman, as well as Dennis Kucinich. And there are a handful, perhaps, of others that are really honest. Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont, who was a U.S. senator. There are some people that have some ideals and still stick to the truth and want to defend the Constitution, even though they may not agree on every point, like Dennis and Ron Paul do not. They are people of integrity. And you can't divorce politics. Actually, you can't divorce politics from anything, but certainly not from the corporation. For everything in our government is based on corporate control. The banks are corporations. And General Motors, and yes, Ford Motor Company and Chrysler Corporation, and the major corporations, General Electric and all of these others, they are banks. They have their own bank. I honor Ford Motor Company for not taking government handouts like Chrysler and GM did back a few years ago. But in any case, these corporations operate as banks. Now, it's true, and I'll give you this, a corporation is only as good as its CEO and board of directors and board of trustees, etc. If the board of directors and the CEO are corrupt and in it only for the bottom line, the corporation will not ever serve the people. Corporations they've passed laws that the corporations cannot be fined more than $25,000 a day for breaking environmental rules and other regulations, which is a slap on the hand for entities, corporations, that are making millions of dollars every day. It's insane, the world that we live in regard to how we have structured our business and financial and government structures. Even school systems are corporations, privately owned and operated for profit. Every corporation is operated for profit in our world, and profit is the bottom line. When profit is the bottom line, integrity goes out the window. It's simply the way it is. It may not be the way we like it to be, but it is the way it is. And until there is a change in the leadership of corporations, the whole structure of a corporation needs to be challenged. Because the structures allow the individuals, as I said at the beginning, to shirk personal responsibility, to sidestep involvement that makes them accountable to the consent of the people. And remember, government derives its just power from the consent of the governed. And when the governed do not give that consent by awareness, we've always given our consent, but we've done it through subtleties of accepting their offers to provide a license or a registration or some service that the government or the corporation provides, and by accepting that service you are giving your consent to the corporation blindly. That doesn't work anymore. Blind consent will not work, and we have to realize that that's the way our contracts have been created. We've created them with the corporation in ignorance. Well, we need to awaken, don't we? We need to educate ourselves and each other as to what corporations really are and what the game in this matrix system really is. Because until we know the truth, we can't be free of the bondage and the slavery of the system itself. Many people do not even realize they're slaves. I remember sitting in a church one time in Unity of Melbourne, and I was sitting next to a lady, and I don't remember exactly what my comment was, but it was something to the effect that we have to wake up from our enslavement. And she commented instantly, "I'm not a slave." Well, anyone that says they are not a slave is ignorant of truth. I am a slave. Me, Ron Van Dyke. I've done paperwork and everything to liberate myself from the bondage of the slavery, but there's still things that I have to do just by living in this world, just by living in the United States and in Florida. There are things that are required of me that I may not like them, but unless I want to be all the time at war, I have to go along with some certain things. I have no choice but to pay sales tax on things and to pay certain things that are required, although I do have ways of getting around some of that, because I now learn that when the government presents me with a bill that they say that I owe, I ask them to produce the contract, which I challenge each of you to do when you get a bill from a government entity. Produce the contract that authorizes you to bill me for this and obligates me to pay it. Show me the contract. Without a contract, there is nothing required. Bear that in mind. Usually what we do is we simply pay the bill. That's like signing the contract. This is how corporations are operating in our world. It's all through fraud and deception and withholding of information that if we knew the truth, we wouldn't do certain things. So they don't tell us the truth. They expect us to know, because ignorance of the law is no excuse. So they keep us ignorant. And our ignorance has been our downfall. It has been the method of enslavement by corporations operating as governments. by corporations operating as control systems, banks, and, as I said, corporations that build automobiles and corporations that build other products. Some multinational corporations are larger in domestic product or in capital. They are larger than most countries of the world. Most countries of the world. And we need to understand that if we're creating a new world, which we are doing, we need to understand the role that corporations have played in our enslavement in order to liberate ourselves and to set up a system that serves all the people and protects the rights of the least of the least. That's what a republic is, as opposed to a democracy. And we need to understand that. There's a lot of people talking about we want democracy, and it's important that the voice of the people be heard. But a pure democracy will always fail if it's just simply left up to the majority, where 51% can kill 49% because they're not in the majority. A republic protects even a 1%. And right in our world, the 1% have controlled the 99%, which isn't that what all the protests about Wall Street that are sweeping the world now are about? Now, people drew attention to the fact that in Egypt and Libya and the Middle East and Greece and stuff like that, they still have the same old rotten governments. And there's some truth to that. But the people are awakening all over the world, and there's great truth in that. Because as we awaken and as we inform ourselves and educate ourselves to what the system and what the game really is, we have a chance for the first time in our history, the first time in tens of thousands of years, to actually break free of this domination system, this empire that has reared its ugly head and controlled humanity for eons of time, generation after generation, century after century, have been controlled by the monetary system, which goes back at least, I was going to say 5 millennia. 10,000 years is 10 millennia. It goes back that far to really ancient Greece, where they developed the money, according to what I understand, and I could be wrong, because understanding our history is a matter of guesswork in many instances. However, I do believe that we are moving forward from that, and we're going to become educated in our real history. I believe that's happening. This year is opening the doors, and as we move into the end of this year and into 2012, there's going to be a massive re-education of the human population. I mean, I feel that coming. As the one lady that I saw interviewed, and I posted it on my Facebook wall yesterday, about her visit to the Soviet Union before the Soviet Union fell, and she was encountering, being shown the reality of spacecraft, and had been told that the Russian military had issued do not fire orders on UFOs. And she made the comment that the people the beings that come here in the UFOs are actually us in our own future. She talked about time travel. Now, that may sound preposterous to some, but time travel is not preposterous to those that are on the inside and in the know. They have been playing with these games for a long time. And that's why they know, of course, that their time is up. The handwriting is on the wall. The elite see that. It's why different ones have said, like David Wilcock said yesterday, that they're getting ready to flee the country in the United States and go to South America. I've heard that for a long time. Benjamin Fulford's blog yesterday was very, very poignant. And if you haven't read it yet, look it up. It's posted on my website, on my Facebook page, I should say, not on my website. I haven't been keeping my website articles up to date since I've been doing these videos. But anyway, there's so much going on, and we need to understand that the structure of modern corporations is a structure that is destructive to the needs and the desires of the human family, and they do take away our human and natural rights from us. We need to understand that, and we need to correct that. Thank you for listening. Namaste.